I'm Evangeline Crittenden, and this is LA Year One. My first year in LA was coming out of grad school, and I had grown up in the Bay Area, and I basically did everything I could to avoid moving to LA. I moved to New York first, and I lived in Oakland, and then I got into grad school down here, and I was like, well, here we going. And so I would say my first year of living in LA proper was out of grad school, and I think my expectation was that I was coming out of this great grad program, and I would have this really strong community based on the people that I knew in that program. And I found out pretty quickly that that was not the case. I think I also thought, like, girl, you've done this before. You moved to New York. Like, you know how to start your life in a new city. You've also come out of school before, so you know how to come out of school. So I thought the whole thing would be easier, and I just really felt like I was starting from scratch. I was lucky to have a place to live right away. I had a friend who needed someone to move in, and I moved in there right away. But I was working like a retail job and was not really covering my bases. And I was kind of coming up against the shattered illusion of what I thought was gonna be like a preset community from my program. And I was like, yeah, I'll just like have everybody, and that'll be how it plays out. I think I learned that not all relationships survive the transition from being in an institution to being out in the real world. So I had this idea that I wanted to buy like a new cool car that was gonna be my LA car. So I got a Volkswagen Cabrio, 2003 Volkswagen Cabrio convertible, which was my dream car in high school. So I got it, and it was all cute. And then the rainy season came, and it leaked, and every time it rained, the whole bottom of the car would fill up with water. And then the water damage in the car started causing all these other problems. So the windows didn't even roll up. So like me driving on the freeway in the winter was like being in the splash zone. And there was nothing I could fucking do about it. And I just had to park my car with the fucking windows down because I couldn't roll them up. And so that was a low, for sure. I feel like the highs and lows in LA are not as extreme for me as they've been in the past in my life, and maybe it's just the phase of my life. Maybe it's not really a reflection of LA. I think a low is how aggressive I get on the road. I'm like noticing now every time I leave LA, I'm the most aggressive person on the road in any other town where I am. And when I'm here, I'm constantly thinking of new ways to cuss out other drivers. I would say a high has been meeting people who are outside of my artistic field. So people who are not in filmmaking or not in acting, visual artists and other creative people who are in LA doing their thing and who are sort of like inspired by or confused by what I'm doing. Like, wow, that's really crazy. Why would you do that? One of the things I struggle with as an actor is like, how do I keep my craft alive when I'm not in a scene or not in a class or an audition? I don't really like taking acting classes. I don't really like working on doing scene work, but I want to keep my craft alive. And what I've started to discover is that a really fun way for me to do that is to work with photographers, because it's like mini still films, and it's possible to tell a lot of story in a small frame. So lately I've been collaborating with a lot of photographers to do some evocative, more expressive imagery. I've been kind of exploring my own boundaries about like what I want to do on camera and like themes I want to explore, and that's been really, really fun, and it's really inspiring and enlivening, and it's something I can do and have immediate gratification from it too. So I'm in a band called Glamour Pony, and we're releasing an 8-song album, and I'm directing and editing one music video per song for the whole album. So we have 2 out, we have 2 in pre-production, and the other ones are on the way. LA is like, to me, LA is like the boyfriend that worked out. Like New York was like this cool, badass boyfriend who was like so hot and interesting, and I wanted to tell everyone that we were together. but like we were always like kind of at odds with each other. Like when I was in New York, I was always kind of like, is this gonna work? Like I was always in a state of questioning and uncertainty. And being in LA, even though there was an adjustment period, I was kind of like, okay, this works. So LA is like the boyfriend who's on the couch when you get home, and he might not be that exciting or interesting, but he's there and he's got it where it counts. So now, after my first year of sort of trying to cobble together my life and figure out what my gig situation was gonna be, I got to the end of my first year and my friend was like talking to me about whether I was gonna get a cat or not, and she was like, don't get a cat, get an agent. So I think I hit the end of my first year and I was like, oh, don't waste your time, get your hustle on, do your thing. And I figured out my gig situation, and I teach movement for actors, which is a dream gig, and I act all the time, and I'm doing my artist thing in LA, and it's working. That's literally what it is. Yeah, no, yeah, but like meaning like, yeah, like little mini movies, but yes, film. Film was, we get it, yeah. It's true. What you say is true.
That's perfect, thank you.